Welcome to Reddit Reader. Who deserved what happened to them, but you still felt bad? Might be a little late, but here it goes. A couple of years ago, I had a soccer ball that a kid stole from me. He said it was his and he found it. Well, cut to a couple weeks later, I went to the park and that kid was there playing with my ball. Then some homeless-looking person walked to where the kid had his stuff placed and stole his bag. I saw everything that happened. I still feel bad for not doing anything, but to be fair, he did not return my ball after I asked many times. Karma's a bitch, David. Back a long time ago, growing up in Eastern Europe, before the Cold War was ended, I had a friend who kept getting into trouble. Vandalism, stealing from stores, drugs, and more. He had been arrested 2 times, but kept thinking he can get away with it. This was back when the farm pit punishment was still used for some crimes. Basically where you're locked in a pit on a farm for a day or 2, and the dung of the animals on the farm is shoveled in as well. I warned him that he better stop, because he's sure to get the farm pit if he's caught again. He seemed unconcerned and laughed it off, and said something like, "So what? It's just a day or 2. I can deal with a bad smell." I said, "Are you kidding me? Have you even been to a pig farm before? You do not want to go to the pit." But he was undistressed. Sure enough, he was caught shoplifting a few months later and spent a half day in the pit, and later told me how much he puked and how sick he felt. I warned you, buddy. When I was 19, this guy asked me on a date. I said sure. He picked me up and said that he needed to make a stop first. We go into his house, and a bunch of guys are literally weighing and bagging up weed and coke in the living room. I was shocked. Apparently, my date was a dealer unbeknownst to me. I was scared, so I just sat there quietly. He ends up saying that we should just have dinner there. So we got into his furnished basement where he had a bar and gives me a hard lemonade. As the time passes, I say I want to leave, and he forced himself on me and held me down after I kept saying no. He tried to take my shorts off. I literally sprinted out of his house and ran a few blocks, knocked on a stranger's door, and asked to use their phone to call my mom to come get me. 2 years ago, I read online that he just got a job in waste management. He was hanging off the back of the garbage truck when the driver reversed it into a metal telephone pole and crushed him. Sad he went that way, but I couldn't help but say, karma is a bitch. My sister's ex is a bastard. He always said she was too fat and there were prettier girls than her. He also took her to Paris when my parents disagreed. We found out later that she didn't even have a passport with her. He threatened to throw fireworks at our house if my sister wasn't allowed to come to a party. She was 17 at the time, so my parents were still in charge. The worst thing he did was get drunk behind the wheel. When my sister said something about it, she was given the choice, either walk 20 to 30 miles or get in the car with him. He had an accident after getting drunk behind the wheel, and he is now in a coma. There is a good chance that he will not survive. I am very sorry for his family, but I am a little happy that my sister was not in the car. I was in elementary school kicking a ball back and forth with a couple of buddies when the school bully comes over. At this time, he is damn near the size of a teenager, and I'm a super scrawny stick. He boots our ball all the way across the playground. My buddies accept the fate, but it causes me to snap. I call him a bold move for quite little me. He doesn't take that well, grabs me, turns me upside down, and slams me on my head. I pop right back up and get in his face. We repeat this several times until the teacher finally sees this and breaks it up. Fast forward to our senior year of high school. He is a real big dude at this point. Still a shithead. He's talking to a Samoan kid we have at school. Very rural place of mostly backwoods white kids. Starts getting physical with him. Samoan kid is probably 5'6" at best, but Samoans don't have a reputation for being badass for nothing. He grabs this giant, turns him upside down, and pile drives him into the tile floor. Bully goes completely out. Ambulance had to be called in, he gets stretchered out. We didn't see him again for several weeks. No one says to Samoan kid because he was a super chill kid and everyone, including the adults, knew how awful the bully was. Saw the bully a few years later and the incident seemed to knock the attitude out of him. He was very cordial. I feel guilty about how much glee I get about seeing this poor kid who most likely had a bad home life getting dropped on his head so hard he had to spend time in the hospital. He could have been seriously hurt. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and subscribe so you do not miss our next upload.